Greetings, YouTube. The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today we're going to be talking about the Dragon's Breath spell. Isn't a lot of difference between the Legacy version and the new 2024 version, but I did want to revisit the spell a little bit just to look to see if there are any differences, point them out. But I also want to look at this spell and look at all the ways that I think that you can use this spell. If you think there are any more ways, please leave them down in the comments below, because people always come up with innovative, new, novel things that I've never thought of before, and they can share them with the community. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. All right, here is Dragon's Breath, the Legacy version, and back in the day when we originally, I think back in, now is probably a year and a half ago when we reviewed this spell, we gave it an A. It is a great spell. I like it. It doesn't really lose its utility whatsoever at all. So it is a second level spell that's usable by sorcerers and wizards. It's a bonus action to cast it. It does require concentration. You touch a creature and they can then spew magical energy in a 15-foot cone. It's verbal, somatic, and material, which doesn't matter. It lasts for a minute. So you touch that creature, you imbue them with power. They can choose acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. Until the spell ends, the creature can use an action to exhale energy of the chosen type in a 15-foot cone. Each creature in that area must make a dex save or take 3d6 damage of the chosen type on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one, and then you can upcast this to add extra dice of damage. Essentially, this gives you the ability to slap a fire breath or a poison breath or whatever you want onto your familiar, and they can do it 10 times. You know, it's once a round for 10 rounds, and if you were to upcast this all the way to, say, 9th level, so it adds another 7d6 to the 3. So it'll be 10d6 every single round, which is just awesome. And it's your dex saving throw, too. So great spell all around. Now let's take a look at Dragon's Breath in 2024. So, second level spell, still a bonus action, still a range of touch, still a 15-foot cone, still verbal somatic, still a minute with concentration. Still only usable by sorcerers and wizards. They did add draconic sorcerers in here, which probably means they don't have to prepare this spell. We'll look at that here in a second. And then you touch the willing creature. You choose acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. Okay, same stuff. Till the spell ends, the target can take the magic action to exhale a 15-foot cone. So these things are just a little bit more well-defined in 2024 than they were before. Each creature gets a dex save, taking 3d6 damage of the chosen type, and on a failed save, they take half as much, and then you can add a d6 for every slot above 2. So virtually nothing has changed. It's still an A spell. So let's take a look at the sorcerer, and I just want to look at the draconic sorcerer, and that is one of the new sorcerer subtypes. Eventually it will get there. Eventually. We got a whole bunch of stuff open here. So in the meantime, while that's loading up, I do want to point out some of the ways that you can use this spell. Now this, I would never use this on myself, ever. Wow, this is taking forever. I would never use this on myself. I would always use this on something that was an animal companion or was summoned. There's no more conjure, all that conjure spells. Those have gone away, and they're basically spirits that do things. Oh, wow, it is not working. It is not working. There it is. Okay, we finally got there. All right, let's take a look at the sorcerer, and particularly the draconic sorcerer. Sometimes they have a little bit of a problem with this. So let's get back to Find Familiar. So Find Familiar is one of these spells. You can cast the Familiar, and they changed Find Familiar pretty significantly by adding this, and we've gone through this spell before, by adding this another beast that has a challenge rating of 0. So bat, cat, frog, hawk, lizard, octopus, owl. Owl is usually the best one because owl gets that no attacks of opportunity, the flyby. rat, raven, spider, weasel, or another beast that has a challenge rating of 0. Typically, you want to cast Dragon's Breath on a familiar that has the ability to fly, so that they can, come in, strafe with that 15-foot cone, and then fly away. Because they're not really coming in within the range of NA melee attacks. Most melee attacks, things do have reach. But they can get away without getting slammed, and then the owl always gets away without getting slammed because it has that flyby. So these are good, and then they can use this 10 times, once per round as a magic action, and there's no reason that they can. It says a familiar cannot attack, but it can use other actions as normal. So that's one thing. Okay, let's get back to the Draconic Sorcerer. So they get this at 3rd level. It's a Draconic spell, so they don't have to prepare it. They have these listed prepared, so they don't have to prepare that spell. So that's actually part of their kit now. So some other spells that I have popped up here are the summon spells. So now these are the ones that bring creatures into existence, and there's usually stat blocks for these. So if you look at Summon Abjuration, you get an Aberrant Spirit, and it's got a stat block. And here it is, Player's Handbook 2020, where it's got a stat block. Some of them fly, like the Beholderkin. And they get a number of attacks. And we're going to go over these spells. They get a number of attacks. Like this is a 4th level spell, equal to half the spell's level rounded down. So this Beholderkin would get 2 eye attacks, which do a d8 plus 3 plus the spell's level. So you'd have to look in, and some of these are not great, by the way, but you would have to kind of compare and contrast the amount of damage you would be doing with this per round versus the amount of damage you would be doing with this per round. A lot of these just do straight damage, and it's not a lot. And if they had like a 9th level, even an 8th or 7th level Dragon's Breath on them, they're going to basically be doing a fireball every round. So we've got Summon Aberration, Summon Beast, Summon Celestial, Summon Construct, Summon Draconic Spirit, Summon Dragon, Summon Elemental, Summon Fae, Summon Fiend, Summon Greater Demon, Summon Lesser Demon, Summon Shadow Spawn, and Summon Undead. So all of those could be the recipients of a Dragon's Breath if you or someone in your party has the ability to cast that spell. Now, Druids they automatically get Wild Companion now, which is they can summon a nature spirit like a Find Familiar. So as a magic action, you can expend a spell slot or use a wild save to cast Find Familiar so it just happens. And, Druids don't get Dragon's Breath, but there could be somebody in the party that does. So always talk to your party members. Rangers, not all Rangers automatically get a animal companion, but Beastmasters do get a primal companion. And you choose Beast of the Land, Beast of the Sea, or Beast of the Sky, and it gets a stat block, and it gets a strike of some kind, and some special. So you get this primal bond, and so you have to kind of go through and decide whether it's worth it or not to have the wizard or the sorcerer in your party cast Dragon's Breath on your beast, but these things don't do a lot of damage, so it probably is going to be worthwhile. Like the Beast of the Sky gets the flyby attack, and it does very little damage, but if it had the flyby attack and had Dragon's Breath, it would be awesome. And those are pretty much the only classes that I can think of. There is one other class that does get a companion, if we can get to it. And that is the Ranger class that is a legacy, which is still legal, which is the Drake Warden. And the Drakes don't do a lot of damage, but if you can get Dragon's Breath on them, then that is pretty substantial. So here's Drake Warden right here. And you get a Drake Companion. And it's got this bite attack. It's got +3 plus your proficiency bonus to hit, which is not great. It does a d6 plus your proficiency bonus, which is not great. So it's got these infused strikes. That's good, but it also could be used in its action for a breath weapon attack, which is awesome. So that is a good way of using that as well. You just need to have somebody that can use the spell. Maybe you've got levels in sorcerer or wizard. Maybe you've got a sorcerer or a wizard in the party that can do this. But this spell on its own is just awesome. It's just one of these, I got it out. You know, maybe I'm going into combat, and I know I'm going in, like, the next round. We're going to open the door in the dungeon, and I'm going to cast this spell and send this thing in to just blast everything in the room. And it's a bonus action, so you can cast this spell, and then you could rip out a cantrip of some kind. So, great spell. I highly recommend it, and this is the video I got for everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed, and I will catch everybody